The United States avoided a government shutdown after its Congress passed a stopgap funding bill. But what does this mean? Frederico Velloso will give us more details live. Fred?
Yes, Mike, it's crisis averted for now. The United States heaved a sigh of assured-term relief after Biden signs a stopgap funding bill with a little time to spare.
The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The Congress managed to pass the bill with a little drama after Democrat Representative Jamal Bowman pulled a fire alarm in a Capitol office for allegedly attempting to delay the voting. Bowman, who is currently under investigation because of what happened, apologized and said the action was unintentional. The stopgap bill, which was immediately signed by President Joe Biden, funds the U.S. government at the current $1.6 trillion annual rate until the November 17 deadline. Lawmakers need to pass another bill to avoid a government shutdown. The stopgap bill funds food, federal wages, and assistance programs, although it's missing the provisions on border policy changes and the aid to Ukraine. The U.S. has already supplied some $46 billion in military aid to Ukraine since February 2022. Biden has requested another $24 billion for Kyiv. In recent months, the U.S. has sent military equipment, including long-range missiles and Abrams tanks. However, the recently signed stopgap funding bill did not include the $6 billion in additional military aid for Ukraine requested by the White House. Although Biden commended averting the shutdown, he insisted on providing more aid to Kyiv.
We cannot, under any circumstance, allow American support for Ukraine to be interrupted. I fully expect the Speaker to keep his commitment to secure the passage and support needed to help Ukraine as they defend themselves against aggression and brutality. And folks, overwhelmingly, there's overwhelming number of Republicans and Democrats in both the House and the Senate who support Ukraine. Let's vote on it. And I want to assure our American allies and the American people and the people of Ukraine that you can count on our support. We will not walk away.
Meanwhile, U.S. Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy from the Republican Party blasted the Democrat-led Senate and Biden over appropriation bills and the country's border crisis.
The Senate has produced not one appropriation bill through the floor. The House, more than 70% of discretionary spending has now passed. I do not believe our troops need to be punished for us not getting the work done. So I ask Congress, we'll stay in session the next 2 weeks, continue to work to get this done. But you cannot look the men and women in our military in the eye and ask them why they are not going to be able to pay their bills because the Senate hasn't done their work. Look, I know a lot of you always ask me all the negative questions. I'm sure every bet you had was government was going to shut down. I don't know how many times you're going to count us out. But if there's one thing you should start understanding, not just that I'll never give up, but I'm a type of conservative that wants to get things done. It's easy to be a conservative that wants to do nothing. But I believe America wants to find the conservative that can make government work efficiently, effectively, and accountable. And that's exactly what we're doing in our appropriations process. In the wasteful spending, in the wokeism, but most importantly, secure our border. Our president, who never once talked to any of us during this challenge of the government shutting down. He watches night after night how thousands of people cross this border illegally because of his policies. The largest number ever in the last month. For 50 years, he has been in elected office. He has been to more dinners with Hunter Biden's business partners than he has gone to the border. Things has got to change. Our border has to be secure.
In a CBS interview, McCarthy said that he remains committed to helping Ukraine throughout its conflict with Russia. However, U.S. border security issues should be a bigger priority for American lawmakers. He also stressed the importance of securing Americans' own interests, as more Americans are dying in the border than Americans dying in Ukraine, and suggested the future financial aid for Ukraine must contain provisions to ensure American border security. Meanwhile, Ina Tahen, an economic and political affairs commentator, said that if the short-term funding had not been approved, ordinary Americans, including government workers and people at various service industries, will be affected directly, and the stopgap funding bill is not a final solution to huge bipartisan divisions.
Between 3.5 and 4 million paychecks to government workers, but not Congress, would have been stopped. Services from parks to air traffic control would have been affected. Financial risk of a second downgrade by one of the major rating agencies would have caused significant economic damage. There are a lot of contracts that require at least 2 rating agencies to give a AAA plus in order for school districts, municipalities to hold money with them. If one of those went away, since there's 3 and one has already downgraded, it would have caused havoc within the bond markets themselves, which are already reeling. Well, let's put this into focus. The main argument focuses on about $120 billion in cuts the Republicans hardliners want to make. The total budget is around $5.8 trillion. Discretionary funding, $1.6 trillion. Projected deficit, $1.2 trillion. Department of Defense, $1.77 trillion will be going to them with no cuts. The real choice here is between the welfare of the people or warfare. There's nothing to be done. I mean, there's no solutions, just polarized positions. In 45 days, we're looking at either another continuing resolution or a government shutdown.
Mike and Estunjan has said the U.S. will either find another continuing resolution or will face a government shutdown if they fail to pass it by November 17. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. That's Frederico Velloso live on SMNI Studios.